us tonight. I'm Lydia Kopika, and tonight we'll be hearing some stories of inspiration from breast cancer survivors. And as you can see, we're also joined by Dr. Doug Odom. He is an OBGYN. He's delivered over 17,000 babies, and he really now likes to specialize. So we're going to learn how we can support our own health and others that may be having challenges. And I've got a line from the Cancer Survivors Handbook. It says, healthful diets not only help prevent cancer, they also improve survival when cancer has been diagnosed. So first I'm going to mute everybody. Let me see. All right, and then when you need to speak, anybody needs to speak, just feel free to unmute yourselves. So first I would like to introduce you to Cindy Carver, and she lives on the East Coast of Florida. She's married and a mother of 4 grown children and the Gaga to Austin James. She's a 5-year cancer survivor. She found joy in her journey and will always choose lemonade over lemons. So go ahead, Cindy.
Thank you, Lydia. I am so honored to be here with each one of you tonight. And you are in for a treat with Dr. Odom. So Dr. Odom was a huge part of my cancer journey, and I can't imagine doing cancer without Dr. Odom. His wisdom and insight was so helpful in every part of my journey. So Dr. Odom was the second person I called when I had my diagnosis, within like 20 minutes. He even knew I had cancer before my own husband. And I'm going to share a little story about that in a minute. But he said 3 profound things to me the first few minutes of our conversation. He said, first of all, my diagnosis was a 7-centimeter mass that was ductal carcinoma in situ. And so he explained what that was to me. He explained better than my own doctor. My own doctor actually cried when she told me that I had cancer, because she had given me a hysterectomy and I hemorrhaged, and she almost lost me for 4 hours. So she told me I'm never to go under the knife again. And this was prior to when I began my health journey. And so Dr. Odom just clearly explained, okay, this is the deal. It's the best type of cancer you can have. And so you're going to be fine. And then the second thing he told me is, Cindy, you have been laying a foundation of nutrition for the last 3.5 years, and you have no idea what that's done for your body. And it's going to help you in your recovery. And he said, but here's why you're going to beat cancer. He said, you are one of the most positive, faith-based people I know. And he said, you are going to get through this with flying colors. And so Dr. Odom spoke life into me. And so tonight, I just want to speak life into each one of you. If you know someone that's going through cancer, it can be a roller coaster of emotions. And I'm not going to lighten it or take away from the seriousness of cancer, but I do want to share my journey with you. And every journey is very, very different, and every journey is very personal. So this summer, someone challenged me to write my journey down. And so I wrote it in a poem, and I wrote it kind of like the roller coaster of emotions that you might go through. So I'm just going to share that with you, and then just have a quick follow up with that. So I called it Joy in the Journey. You have cancer. 3 of the most powerful words capable of causing every mixed emotion known to mankind. Denial. Wait, me? There must have been a mix-up. The diagnosis takes hours to settle in, and it's during this time that fear raises its ugly voice and terrifies you to the core. Death. Cancer means death. Am I dying? Wait, I don't even have insurance. I can't possibly tell my husband I have cancer with no insurance. It's 3:45, December 14th, and Obamacare's deadline is tomorrow. So I call my sister. She is at my side in 8 minutes, and we cry for 10 minutes. Wait, I don't even have time to cry. I need insurance. A deep sigh. I can get you coverage for $58 a month. Will that do? The tears of relief consumed the tears from fears, telling my family, be brave. Don't let them know that you're afraid. More tears, feeling numb, overwhelmed, decisions, and more decisions. Lumpectomy, double mastectomy, reconstruction, chemo, and radiation. Faith rises up and peace rushes in. And suddenly, cancer is just cancer. Nothing more, nothing less. A knowing and understanding that I am in this to win. Hope drowns out fear, and I feel in control again. But how? I have cancer. Faith, more powerful than those 3 words. Somehow, joy takes over the journey, and I can laugh through every bit of it. Physical scars, emotional scars, 5 years in the making. A mangled mess resides in place of breast, a broken marriage rescued through loving kindness. And in the end, I win because I had joy in the journey. So, a roller coaster of emotions, to say the least. So let's chat. How do you gain control when life is out of control, when life is spiraling and you have no control? So I want to ask you 2 questions. What are you feeding your body? And what are you feeding your mind? Because those 2 things are what carried me through those next 6 months. And I got to tell you, the foundation that I laid for the food that I was eating, Dr. Odom got real aggressive with the plan that I was eating. You know, I started taking more fruits and vegetables. I quadrupled the amount that I was getting at that time. I juiced every day. I actually paid somebody to juice, and it was $50 a day for me to get carrot juice and beet juice. And but it was part of my cancer journey, and I needed to do whatever I could to power my body with that much fuel. And so fruits and vegetables were top of my list. But then I had to learn to make sure that no sugar got into my diet, that I gave up all processed foods. I gave up coffee. I gave up things that I wasn't willing to give up until you get that diagnosis where you're fighting with your every being. And so I just want to encourage you that if you are going through a diagnosis or someone you love, there is hope on the other side, and you can take your health back at any time. Nutrition, I'm in the middle of biology and getting a degree right now, not in biology, but it's one of my classes. And I'm blown away with what we put in our body every single day with the nutrition that we have. I'm just like flabbergasted at, like, wow, we're doing that already. And then the other thing is, what are you feeding your mind? My faith is very strong, and so I love to live by scripture. And so I fed my mind the word of God. What are God's promises to me? And one of the things that the Bible says that is, as a man thinketh, so it is. And so I thought of myself as well. I thought of myself as whole. I thought of myself as healthy. And I even have I am statements on my wall that remind me when I'm not feeling that, they remind me to declare those things as if they were. And so I just want you to know, I'm going to bring on Dr. Odom, or I'm going to turn it back over to Lydia, but I just want you to know that you are not alone. Whatever journey that you're going through, somebody loves you enough to bring you onto this call. And Dr. Odom is about to empower you with some amazing knowledge. So I hope that you'll get out your pen and pad. He was on my speed dial during my cancer journey, and he is such a gift to me and to this entire community. And you are going to be so blessed. And so I just want to challenge you to look for joy in this journey and expect it, and you will find it. Thank you, Lydia.
Thank you so much, Cindy. That was beautiful. I really appreciate that. Okay, next we have Sally Beth Maxwell, who was diagnosed with cancer 4 years ago. She's married, has 2 teenagers, and she is also a teacher. So Sally Beth, let me see where you're at. Oh, there you are. Okay, great.
I went and got my boa because I
Yeah,
didn't have any pink. So,
for joining us tonight.
well, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be on here. Um, I just kind of wanted to share a little bit of my story, and I've been blessed to have Dr. Odom in my corner recently, not when I had my diagnosis, but I am actually about 5.5 years out from my diagnosis. So that's what pretty much led me to Juice Plus is that after my treatment and everything, I just wanted to find out, what could I do to impact my health, and what is the first thing that came to mind was I knew what Juice Plus was, and that is what I chose to take as my first step. And it just became a catalyst for me. I've learned so much through my journey and since that time. But a little bit of my backstory is that I, thought I was a teacher and a mother and wife, and exercise. I thought I was healthy, but I equated being healthy with being thin, and I ate a lot of processed foods, and as a teacher I took a lot of microwavable meals, smart ones, and lean pockets and things like that, and was eating for convenience and thought I was being healthy. I ate some fruits and vegetables, but then after my diagnosis, I had known about Juice Plus, and like I said, it was my first step, and I've been taking it now consistently for about 4 years, and I do double up. And even in the during this time in the pandemic, I've been taking more than that. And then that's what I love about it. It's just food. You can't over take too much. It has a food label. And one of the other things that I really have enjoyed about my Juice Plus is my Complete. And I found recently, I thought this was so cool, that the Complete, Dr. Odom can probably elaborate on this, that the Complete acts, I take tamoxifen now, but the Complete acts in the same way in your body as the tamoxifen. And I learned that from listening to Dr. David Phillips. And I even took it to my oncologist. I said, I'm consuming this Complete powder protein sometimes 2 or more times a day. I make smoothies and protein balls and all kinds of things. And she said, she looked at the ingredients. She said, that is great. You are fine. So I just feel good about flooding my body every day with the 30 plus fruits and vegetables, and even more with my Complete and all the stuff I put in my smoothies. And like Lydia said, I have 2 teenagers, and I give them their Juice Plus, and that gives me some peace of mind knowing that they're getting the fruits and vegetables every day, even when I don't know what else they're getting. My son came home a couple weekends ago and took back a box of Complete, and that made me very happy. So, I loved what Cindy said about the joy in the journey. There is joy in the journey, and I just love being able now to share with other people and try to help others know and not have to go through what I went through. So thank you so much for letting me share. And Lydia, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you so much for that, Sally Beth, and loved hearing your story. Thank you for pouring your heart out, you and Cindy both. So, one of the things that you hear people referring to, and one of the things that has brought a lot of us together, is a product called Juice Plus. And it's basically just fruits and vegetables in a capsule. It's like juicing, but Dr. Odom will tell us more about it. And Dr. Odom, thanks for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you, Lydia, and thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Sally Beth, two of my favorite people. And thank you for those kind comments, especially Cindy. Um, I want to take a little bit step backwards and let's talk about cancer. What is cancer? Cancer is uncontrollable cell growth. So, but cancer literally is a break in the DNA strands, and DNA is a double helix, and it's like ribbons, and they're intertwined, and they're connected at points, two different points, by amino acids. And adenine is one, and thymine is another. So A is connected to T, and cytosol and guanine are two other amino acids, and they connect another place on the strand. And when there's a breakage in the strand, do I need to move mine? Is that okay? Can you see me? And can you hear me? Because I had to move. This is my third location trying to get a stable internet. But when there's a breakage, that is how we get the change that occurs that leads to cancer. And cancer is a cell that doesn't undergo apoptosis, which is where a cell normally die after a certain period of time, but cancer cells just tend to live and regenerate and live and duplicate. And so what is it that causes this breakage? Why do we have the breakage, and why do we develop cancer? And what we know is it's some type of inflammatory response, inflammation. You can go out in the sunshine, and it's been shown that you can have between 10 and 20,000 opportunities for this breakage just when you're out in the sun. So you can imagine what's happening if you're in the sun and you're a smoker. And you're in the sun and a smoker, and you have a really stressful lifestyle and an unhappy marriage and an unhappy boss, and your diet is really, really pathetic. There's so many opportunities, and it's why your lifestyle plays such a role in why you develop cancer or not. But once you develop cancer, once that happens, then what? Then you go to the doctor, and he'll either cut it out or he'll treat it with radiation or chemotherapy, or at least that's what he's taught, that's what he knows. And these are very potent toxic components that actually kill those cancer cells, but you can't kill all of them, or maybe you can. But what we really, and we've spent billions of dollars trying to find what is the correct modality, the correct chemotherapy, radiation, how much, how little, when. And what we know is that we're still working on these protocols. What we do know, however, is that cancer is where you have a healthy cell and it turns into an unhealthy cell through disruption. And what is necessary and what happens normally 99% of the time, 99.9% of the time in the human body, is that those cancer cells are gobbled up by these natural killer cells, and the body has the ability to repair. So we never focus on the repair part. We just focus on the killing the cells and the toxicity that it occurs, trying to lessen the inflammation. So the idea is what we need to do is we need to reduce inflammation and enhance repair. And so how many Juice Plus studies do we have? 41 right now. Most all of them have to do with reducing inflammation and how the body repairs itself. So this is what recommended 5 servings, and then you heard 7 and then 9. This is plant food, raw preferably, and then 12 to 15. And you've heard, I've heard in the last decade, 20 servings a day might give you optimal health. I don't know how many of you heard Mitra Ray the other night, but I've heard her twice now say the recommendation today is 30 different plant foods every day. So why 30? Why 20? Why all of these? Because these are the components that allow your body to heal itself. So without getting into too deep of a of a science lecture here, it's those mistakes. They're called SNPs. It's where the breakage is trying to come back. The A doesn't always come back to the T, and the C doesn't always come back to the G. And when that happens, that is that's the perfect setup for this uncontrollable cell growth. But the way to repair this, the way to fix these breaks that are occurring in all of us, even if you're not in the sunshine and you're not a smoker, these happen all the time. Years ago, Rick Du Bois used to say that we had 10,000 opportunities per cell per day, 10,000 of these breakages that occur, and that our body has the potential to develop any of those into a cancer. But because we have the components that can cause that to heal or repair, that's the role that whole food nutrition plays. So I know we're getting up close to the end of the hour, and let's see, what else was I going to say? The key thing here is to reduce inflammation, which is going to lower your risk in the first place. But all of it is, once it happens, it's the repair that's going to fix it for you. Surgery might remove it. Chemo and radiation might kill some of those, but all of that's just going to cause your body to be more toxic, and then it's going to have a harder opportunity to repair itself. So think about cancer the same way that you think about an elite athlete. The elite athlete is so concerned about performance. So does Juice Plus help performance? Does plant food help performance? Absolutely. But more importantly than that, it's what happens after the performance. And I've heard this over and over and over as an athlete. There's no such thing as overtraining. There is such a thing as under recovery. So it's all about, as an athlete, it's all about recovery. And with a cancer patient or with a patient that has a chronic illness, it's all about repair. So think of Juice Plus as protection against inflammation, but also think about all of these foods individually acting collectively through the synergy of all of them, improving the action and activity of the next one and the next one, and all these thousands and thousands and thousands of phytonutrient components that literally enhance repair. So I'll turn it back over to you, Lydia, and somebody may have a question. I'll do my best to try to answer it.
Okay. I've got a few questions. Does anybody else? All right. So when it comes to women, especially when it comes to their diet, you mentioned a few things. What is contributing to disease when it comes to our diet? I know a lot of things affect disease, but when we're talking diet.
Well, I don't have my one visual that you laminated for me, and I'm sorry I don't. But what we all should be eating, 80 to 90% of our diet, every meal, every day, should be plant food. So what is it if we're not eating plant food? What are we eating? I'm in Mississippi. Typically what we're eating is processed. We're eating food that really tastes good. There are a lot of people today that are on the ketogenic diet or following a keto style lifestyle. And what that means is that they're eating an awful lot of protein and fat, and they're trying to eliminate carbs, all carbs. And we should be eliminating simple carbs, those that break down to sugar very, very quickly, those that have no fiber or very little fiber. And we should be eating as many of these complex carbs, that's fruits and vegetables, berries, seeds, beans, and nuts. We should be eating as many of those every day as we can, and we're not. But the foods that are contributing to cancer are those that are full of sugar, full of refined oils, and full of processed, and eating too much animal protein. So there's nothing wrong with some animal protein, we just eat far, 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 far too much. And it puts our body out of balance, body out of a state, away from homeostasis. It puts our gut balance in a state favoring leaky gut, also called dysbiosis. And all of that is contributing to all of these diseases that are becoming epidemic in this country. And so many of those also contribute because of the inflammation that's associated with it. Most of these are contributing to cancer.
Thank you so much.
Did that answer the question, or do you want me to dwell on something more?
No, that was great. So when it comes to, excuse me, fruits and vegetables and the phytonutrients, what is it in those phytonutrients or in those plant compounds that helps us to fight disease?
Those components, most of them function as antioxidants. What that means is it means that they contribute an electron to a free radical, causing it to become neutralized, or it buffers the when they're called a free radical, it's contributing to inflammation. And when those free radicals are neutralized through the action of these antioxidants that are found in all of these plant compounds, then it's reducing the amount of inflammation. Risk is going to enhance repair of these breakages.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've heard you talk in the past about things that contribute to oxidative stress. So, we get antioxidants really only from plant foods. Is that right?
99.99% of the time, yes. There are some enzymes that could be called antioxidants, but the primary source is plant food, real live plant food.
Okay, and so what are some things that would contribute to oxidative stress?
Well, I mentioned smoking, just a stressful lifestyle, lack of sleep, too much sugar, too many processed foods, being unhappy, having a poor attitude. There are many, many, many more. Toxins that are found in the air, in the water, in our life. All of these are contributing to these free radicals, to this imbalance that are favoring these free radicals.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions for Dr. Odom or Cindy or Sally Beth?
Dr. Odom, can you hear me?
I can.
Hi.
Hi, how you doing, Shannon?
Hello. How much is obesity a concern?
Well, that's a great point. Thank you for pointing that out. That's a huge concern because the fat cell itself is a living entity, and it is full of these chemicals that are contributing to free radicals. And this is something that we didn't know when I was in school, but we've since learned. And that is when you gain an adipocyte, which is a fat cell, that you can lose weight, but those cells never go away. They're plump like this, and then as you lose weight, they shrink. They kind of get very flat, but they never go away. But while they're in that plump state, they're actually producing compounds that are contributing to these free radicals and free radical production. So fat cells are unhealthy cells.
So do you recommend fasting?
Yes, I do. And we fast at our house most of the time. We do what's called intermittent fasting. And it's essentially reducing your feeding window. And you eat your first meal of the day at a certain time, and your second, and maybe only 2 meals. That's what we try to do. Maybe your first meal at 11 or 12 o'clock in the morning, and your next meal by 6 o'clock. and then you just don't eat. And when you're in that state of fasting, fasting just means you're not burning calories, or you're not consuming foods that would cause you to burn calories. You can drink water, you're not going to burn calories. So the longer your fasting state, the more benefits you have. And when we're talking about cancer, most of you have heard of stem cells. Some people have had stem cell transfusions. Stem cells are those basic embryonic cells that can develop into any number of different cell types. And the longer we fast, the longer the period of time, the more of these stem cells that we're actually producing. So that's a great point. Thank you for bringing up fasting. The other thing is, when we're fasting, we're not consuming calories, and most of the free radicals that are produced in our body every day, most of them are produced during that process of digestion. The more food we eat, the more free radicals. The more free radicals, the more likely we are to develop cancer and other chronic diseases. It's a relationship of the amount of inflammation.
Okay, can I ask one more question?
Sure, you have the floor.
What about coffee? Do you feel like it's okay to drink coffee every day?
I'm not a coffee drinker, not really the one to ask that, but I will tell you, I've read conflicting stories and conflicting opinions and seen conflicting research. And you would say, well, coffee is a bean, it's a plant. It does have a certain amount of caffeine, it's a stimulant. On our Shred 10 program, we try to avoid stimulants, coffee being one of them. On the other hand, I've read an awful lot recently about coffee enemas and the benefits that they have. And I'm not sure that I would be so negative about coffee, but this is what I would encourage all of us to do. If you drink coffee, I wouldn't sweeten it. If you drink coffee, I wouldn't add dairy to it. If you drink coffee, I would maybe limit it to 1 cup. And I don't mean a cup, this size, just a cup. And there you go. And if you're like coffee drinkers, you're hooked on it. I won't say addicted, but you like it. If you don't have it, you have vasoconstriction, you have a headache. If you don't get it, you drink your coffee, the headache goes away. It's just your body's response to that. I'll tell you, if you want to get off of coffee, I'm not suggesting it, but if you do, if you don't drink coffee for 2 or 3 weeks, those headaches will go away. They will. My wife gave it up with our first pregnancy, and she really never got back on it. But every morning she had to have her coffee. So I'm trying to be real gentle. I'm just telling you, most people say that the good does not outweigh the bad with coffee. And again, I'm not the person to ask. I probably haven't had 10 cups in my life.
Okay, thank you.
Great question. Yeah, that's my opinion, though.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Thanks, Shannon.
Dr. Odom, what do you think about, how much exercise would you recommend?
Oh, is this Janie?
Yes.
Yes. Janie, I think that everybody should exercise. On the other hand, the more you exercise, I didn't realize this when I was younger, the more you exercise, the faster you age. The more you exercise, the more chronic disease that you're contributing to. The more you exercise, probably you shorten your lifespan. As a young athlete myself, I equated fitness with health. And so when I was in my 30s and playing a lot of tennis and racquetball and running marathons and such as that, I literally thought that if I stayed in the gym another 45 minutes, certainly did aerobic exercise, I was enhancing my health. And now we know that exercise is one of those things that do contribute to free radicals, that do contribute to inflammation. It's a known fact that elite athletes have a shorter lifespan than a couch potato. And that's because the more oxygen they're burning to enhance their performance, the more free radicals that aren't neutralized, the more chronic inflammation, the more likely cancer, the more likely autoimmune diseases, the more likely heart attacks and strokes and endothelial damage that occurs because of inflammation. All of these, it's just a cascade. But now we know that exercise is good for you, but you must neutralize the damage. And the only way to do that is not 8 hours of sleep or drinking 2 gallons of water. It's nutrition. It's consumption of plants that are rich in antioxidants, that are dense, and that are colorful, and preferably not the same foods over and over and over. So a wide variety and eat the rainbow. That's what we're finding. Elite athletes, a lot of these elite football and basketball players, Olympic athletes, they're realizing that their secret weapon is nutrition. And so the more plant food, the better. And there are an awful lot of athletes that are extending their careers by either becoming vegan or by adding Juice Plus or by a combination or really focusing on plant food. And most of these elite athletes are making obscene money, and they're making enough money to hire not only a trainer, but a nutritionist, somebody to help them prepare their meals and encourage them what to eat. So exercise is good. I think it's part of a total health picture. Be careful not to overdo it, and be careful every time that you're exercising. It's an absolute must that you reduce the amount of free radicals. You neutralize that by your diet.
Thank you. So
If you're a Juice Plus consumer and you're an elite athlete, I would encourage you to double or triple, just like Cindy said she does, and maybe Sally Beth does from time to time. And we do it all the time at my house. We can afford it. It's just added protection because it's real food. It's balanced. You're not going to overdose. It's not a vitamin, an artificial man-made in a factory compound that's going to be malabsorbed, or that's not going to be absorbed properly utilized. So this is real food, and that's the difference. So the more the better. The more spinach and broccoli you can eat, the better. Kale, if you eat parsley, there you go. Tomatoes, all of these things. If we could eat those 30 foods every day, we would all have excellent health. We would have the kind of health that people that live in third world countries have, that don't have access to grocery stores or processed food.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Good question.
Dr. Odom?
Yes, ma'am. Hey, Patty.
I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about sleep and how that affects our health.
Well, for somebody who over 30 years to probably 35 years got about 4 hours of sleep average during that time, I'm not the right person to ask that question either. But sleep is when your body restores itself. It's when it does heal. It does repair. It replenishes itself with all those vital micronutrients that we're not getting if we're staying active. And I have a sister-in-law who sleeps maybe 4 or 5 hours a day, and she does not have excellent health, although she's trying to change that. She did add Juice Plus, and it's making a difference for her. But sleep is essential. When you have children and they're not getting their 8 hours, it really stunts their growth. Growth hormone is produced when we're sleeping. So when that child wants to sleep in on a Saturday morning, as parents, we should say, just get all you can. We want you to be at least 6 feet tall. That's the guys.
Yeah.
So sleep is one of those pillars of health that is underappreciated. But those that get 8 hours of sleep have the lowest incidence of chronic illness.
Well, that was my question. How many hours would you suggest?
8 to 8.5 is ideal.
Okay,
It's been shown that if you get 9.5 or more a night, you're at a huge increased risk of developing severe depression, even suicide. So, if you're not a growing child, 8.5 is ideal. 6
Okay.
is not really good, and there's so many studies that compare 6 to 7 even, and those that are getting 6, they're at a much higher risk. So just get your 8 hours, and the best way I know to do that is to go to bed earlier. And the best thing to do is not have a TV in your bedroom. Don't have those video games in there. Don't even have your computer in your room. The bed, I would say that your bed is for one purpose, but maybe two. But one of them is sleep. I was trying to be
okay,
cute.
thank
Yeah.
you very much. I appreciate it.
I'm
at
laughing.
7 hours. I need to get to 8.
Yeah,
We
I'm
all
laughing.
need-
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say we all need 8 hours. Shoot for it. If you get 7.5, that's so much better than 7. When you look at that over a year, that is a lot of hours. That's a lot of repair that is not going on if you don't get it.
I was just laughing because my 17-year-old who has never gotten enough sleep since he was like 5 is almost 6'3" now. So I'm over here like, he grew anyway.
Well, he might have been 6'7" if you'd have just let him sleep a little.
Right.
Okay, great. Anybody else?
I want to thank, I was just going to say, I really want to thank Cindy and Sally Beth for speaking tonight and talking about can be a very, very delicate subject. Thank you for sharing your stories, and thank you for the journey that you're on, and certainly the ability to share this with other people and maybe help them. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I do want to, in case people aren't familiar with what a lot of us are talking about, Juice Plus, because a lot of people think it's something you drink. It actually comes in a capsule or a gummy, and it's not a vitamin. It's actually considered concentrated whole food. So this is where a lot of us get all our phytonutrients and that we were talking about tonight. And according to the American Cancer Society, American Heart Association, American Institute of Cancer, they all say that we need 7 to 13. Tonight we talked maybe even as many as 15 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. And that's every day. And that's for repair, recovery, and protection. And for a lot of people, we can't do that consistently every day. And for somebody maybe that's going through treatment or just had a diagnosis, this would be one last thing that you have to worry about is, maybe if you're eating right, a lot of times you're not focused on that or you don't have time for that. And so this can be a solution for many people. So you might want to consider that Juice Plus can help bridge that gap and maybe one less thing to worry about. But when you align yourself with the Juice Plus company, either as a customer or a partner, you join a community of like-minded people. Some of us on the call tonight have joined that community. And our purpose is to share the message of health and hope. And we hope that we've shared that message with you tonight. So it certainly gives me passion and purpose. So if you have any questions or any interest, please reach out to the person that invited you to the call tonight. And Dr. Odom, thank you so much for your expertise and your time. Sally Beth and Cindy, we appreciate all that you shared tonight. And thank you all for getting on tonight.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thanks
Thank
for tuning in.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
Cindy,
you.
Sally. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great
Stay
information.
healthy, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you.
Take your Juice Plus.